Swine It. It's time for a new era of communication in the swine industry, one that you can get the latest updates while commuting or driving to farms. Here you have the brightest mind of the global swine industry in your pocket.
Everyone wants to hire more people, but it's actually the back door that's the problem, because people are leaving about as fast as you're hiring them. And if you can ever get the back door fixed, the front door is not near as big of an issue.
Swine It podcast is only possible with the support of forward-looking and innovative companies like Gestalt, always one step ahead in swine feeding, Every Pig, a simple yet powerful pig health and production management tool, NutriQuest, experts serving producers and delivering breakthrough solutions, Zimpro, essential trace minerals, exceptional performance, and Genesis, the first power in genetics. Welcome to Swine It Podcast. My name is Marcio Gonçalves, your host for today's episode. This episode's sponsor highlight is about Every Pig. The truth is, precision swine production is not the future, it's the present. Every Pig is the intelligent pig health platform. It is a simple yet powerful pig health and production management tool. Request a free 20 minutes demonstration at www.everypig.co. Hello everyone. Today we are hosting Dr. Larry Coleman and we'll get his thoughts on pigs and people. How are you, Dr. Coleman?
I'm doing great. Thanks for calling.
Thank you for your time, and let's get right into it. Dr. Coleman, how did you get involved in pig production, and walk us through your career so far?
Yep. So I graduated from veterinary college in 1980, a long time ago, and I was going to do cattle the rest of my life, cow-calf, and I moved back to my home area, which is a cattle area. And a strange set of circumstances, but 6 years later, I found myself enjoying doing the small amount of swine work that I did, and I ended up going to North Carolina to do a swine residency at Raleigh, North Carolina State University.
Interesting. Birthplace
and the birth time of the modern swine evolution that occurred in America. I saw what was happening there, and I decided to hurry back home and start a swine career because I wanted to participate in that, and I was very interested in seeing that industry that I saw developing. I wanted that to happen in my home area, so that's how I ended up back in Nebraska.
That's very cool. Awesome. So let's start, Dr. Coleman, with your thoughts about pigs, and then we move to your thoughts about people. So about pigs, what have been your biggest lessons on pig production in general so far?
Yeah, great question. Initially, back in the 80s or early 90s, people thought they could build these very big herds, and isowean production was going to solve all of our health concerns. And so I guess one thing that I've learned is that disease pathogens always seem to stay one step ahead of us. And as a veterinarian, we thought pretty naively back in the 90s that disease was going to be eliminated. And it's interesting that 40 years later, that's still one of our biggest challenge facing our industry. Right. I guess the other thing I learned, if I could have another thing that I've learned, was the difficulty of putting a team together on a farm and having it function as a world-class team. Very difficult. I think the sports analogy works very well. You can hire all the right people, but at the end of the day, some teams perform very well and some don't. So that'd be the two things that I learned. Disease is always right there facing us, and the people is one of the bigger issues in our industry.
Very interesting. I love that. So, and you work with some very healthy herds. I'm sure you have some herds that have some outbreak sometimes, but I know you work with some very healthy herds as well. What is the key for great pig health?
Yeah, that's a great question. I give total credit to the ownership for creating a culture of health. And I'm blessed because geographically my area is somewhat low pig density. So if owners are committed to healthy herds, this is an area that you can achieve it. But I will say that even if you put a herd on the moon, unless you have commitment to biosecurity, et cetera, you will lose that. And I am blessed with two owners in particular that are very committed to biosecurity, and they're willing to spend the money to create a culture that's conducive to that. They not only verbalize that health is important, they open their checkbooks and make sure that the pieces are in place to ensure that health continues.
Very nice. Maybe a follow-up question on health, Larry. From a more tactical standpoint, what do you see today might be the biggest opportunity for farms in general on the health side?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been kind of on the outside of filtration. That has been very intriguing to me. And it looks like that has been highly successful. We've incorporated that technology, and it's allowed pigs to be raised successfully in areas where it was thought at one time that maybe the female herds or the sow herds would have to be abandoned. So that is a great interest, but production systems aren't becoming their own worst enemy by creating too much density in a location, and that they're spending the money to make sure that they're not bringing disease home to their farm.
That's very, very good. Now let's transition to people, Dr. Coleman. The culture in some of the production systems you work with are very unique. What are key aspects to create a powerful culture?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I've been somewhat convinced over the last 10 to 20 years, the ownership is the one that sets the culture. And I believe the primary way they do that is they are the ones that are responsible for hiring the people underneath them. And these people either be caring people, and when I talk about caring, I'm talking about caring about people, or they can be non-caring people that really don't care about people. They just want to get things done. And then those people, they're responsible for hiring people. So I think this ideal of how important people is starts at the top and then gradually works down through supervisors, managers, and then at the pig level. And I think I've become convinced that people on farms, they have a sense whether the ownership, the management actually cares about them or whether it's just about dollars at the end of the day.
Wow. Yeah, I never thought about that. Two categories, people that care about people and people that don't care so much. Yeah, I love that. What is one tactic that our listeners could implement today to improve the culture in their farms?
Well, there's lots of things, and so I'm not necessarily saying that this is the most important thing, but I think if people at the farm saw upper management on their farms, that would be powerful. And not only saw those people, but the people that are on the farms felt listened to. And so if upper management would come to the farms and listen to the people and not necessarily criticize them, but just listen to their problems, and some of their problems are fixable and some of them are not. But I think people that are working with pigs, they need to have their concerns heard, and they need to feel like they're being listened to.
That makes total sense. It reminds me from a book. I forgot which book was it, but you go to a barbecue and you don't talk much. You just listen. At the end of the barbecue, whoever you're talking to thinks you're great, but you didn't say anything.
Exactly.
That's the nature of human beings.
Yes.
But then, like you said, listening and fixing what you can fix too.
Yes. But part of that is being willing to ask questions rather than just lecturing people. So that a good listener, I think, is also good at asking questions and getting to the bottom of how the people are feeling.
Yes, and I've definitely noticed in my interactions with you that you are great at that. Do you have any general tips for us?
Yeah, general tips. I've kind of built a career around asking questions. That's how I teach. That's how I learn. I think I was born with curiosity, which helps. But if anything that you can do to drive curiosity, I think is a great thing, because I think curiosity drives the desire to ask questions. And I'm not sure if I have a flow chart on how to develop your curiosity, but that's a skill that definitely needs developed.
Very interesting. Love it. Anything else about pig production, pig health, or people before we move to the 3 questions we ask every guest?
Yeah, on the questions, right? Not really. I think the difficulties facing the industry, I probably didn't allude to this enough, but getting farm staff, that's just a fight everywhere you go. If you can be a producer that is able to achieve staffing and keep staffing there, because everyone wants to hire more people, but it's actually the back door that's the problem, because people are leaving about as fast as you're hiring them. And if you can ever get the back door fixed, the front door is not near as big of an issue. And it's not easy, but that is the where we need to focus.
Mm-hmm. What would be a realistic while aggressive turnover rate to aim for?
I think if you could get around 20% yearly, that would be ideal. That's very manageable. When you get up over 50%, it becomes very unmanageable. And then you're just kind of in a staffing creates short staffing. And so if you're short staffed, the number one thing you need to fix is short staffing. I know that's a play on words, but nobody likes to be at a workplace where there's not enough people to do the work.
Right. And then you get into that spiral, death spiral where...
Yes.
Very good. NutriQuest delivers targeted, breakthrough solutions to animal producers via nutritional and non-nutritional products, services, and technologies. At NutriQuest, we believe in ingenuity inspired by servitude, and that our success comes from helping producers realize improved profitability through optimized technologies and efficient operations. It is time to our famous 3. All right. So the 3 questions, Dr. Coleman, we ask every guest, every episode. The first one is, what's your favorite swine-related book?
That's a great question. I guess I've become a millennial over the last 10 years, whatever that means. But I used to read a lot of books, but interestingly, over the last 5 years, I've discovered YouTube and podcasts. I'm having, just like everyone else, about a 10-minute attention span. And I love podcasts. I love YouTube stuff. And I love anything that's short and that I can listen to when I'm traveling. So as a category, that has kind of become my favorite go-to way to access information.
Very nice. Yeah, I'll tell you that I've been doing a lot of audiobooks as well instead of because you can multitask that way. And then the YouTube videos, you can filter less than 4 minutes, and then I look at the ratio of likes to dislikes, and that alone already tell you if the video is good or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I love YouTube. I know there's other stuff, but I watch stuff on there all the time. It's become a big time waster for me. So.
Well, yeah, and you can, like, if you want to listen to interviews or whatever, love it. Very cool. How about, I guess, I don't know if we already answered the second question, but any book or unrelated to swine or anything, could be a book, could be a movie, could be a documentary that is unrelated to swine?
I guess the only thing I would say is that I'm a history student, and I love history. Sometimes even in the swine industry, I don't think people understand how we got to where we were at. So maybe I'm not answering your question, but when I want to listen or read other material, it's always history, because I think whether it was 1,000 years ago or yesterday, we're still facing the same problems with people and logistics and things like that. So history as a category would be my favorite book. So
love it. Very nice. All right. And then the last question is, what separates successful swine professionals from those that are not?
Yeah, great question. I can answer for myself. And I hate to call myself successful because sometimes I don't feel that way, but I'm where I'm at today because 30, 40 years ago, I was willing to make a commitment to get some learning in a different area. And I've kind of been in an area that does not have a lot of pigs, and I've always felt like it's been hard for me to procure information because I haven't had 20 swine vets in offices next to me. But I guess my skill that has helped me a lot is my ability to ask questions, but also be aware of who is out there that is being successful. And I always say I don't want to invent anything. I just want to be a copier. And so I think I try to copy success whenever I see it. And I try to figure out why they're successful and then try to copy it. So once again, curiosity and asking questions is my go-to strength, I guess.
Don't reinvent the wheel. Yes.
Yeah.
Very powerful. I really, really appreciate your time. I always love how you can be very objective and powerful in your answers, Dr. Coleman. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you great talking to you. So.